Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. And hockey is almost here, and I am joined by my good friend, Day One, Hockey TikTok Day One, Nordic, joining me today. Babiak will unfortunately not be on the podcast. Nordic, how are we doing?
I'm filling in for Bobby. This feels weird because you're usually the one joining my podcast, and now I'm on yours. So it feels a little bit strange. Like I can just I don't have to worry about being the host. I can just sit back and talk about hockey and not have to worry about leading people on and stuff and forming a show. It feels great. How you
Yeah.
doing, man?
I'm doing good myself. Go listen to Nordcast, Nordblock Pod. He does two great, fantastic pods. Does a great overall work over on like every single platform, much like me. And yeah, I got him for like the longest episode probably in our podcast history because we have so much to freaking talk about. We haven't done one in like 2 weeks. McDavid signed 2 years, $12.5 million. Kaprizov, 8 years, 17. Gustavsson re-signed. Barkov tore his ACL, unfortunately. LaCombe, Hughes signed big deals. Stolarz, 4-year deal. McTavish, a 6-7 deal. Walman, 7x7. Fowler, 3 years. Mikkola, 8 years. And then we just got some injuries to talk about. The Connor Ingram trade. Metric shit ton. You ready to just dive into it?
Yeah, first off, I do want to say to you, congratulations on completing your big bike run.
Thank
I
you. Thank you.
I haven't been able to talk to you since then, so I did just want to do that. The work you've done is incredible. I just wanted to give you some credit first off on the pod. It's been phenomenal. Hopefully the Bruins will miss, so then that way you can go to TD.
Yeah, go watch the punishment challenge video where we might run across Long Island if Schaefer doesn't get to at least 25 points, or the Boston Bruins got to go over 79 and a half. And yeah, if the links are still open to potentially donate for that, we've raised over $3,000 at this point. Absolutely amazing. Really appreciate
Awesome.
it. Two great causes, but let's get into the actual hockey topics. We're
Yeah,
moving on from
let's see
MB
that.
Cross Long Island. McDavid, 2 years, $12.5 million. Absolutely insane. We thought it'd be a short term deal, like 3 to 4, maybe 5 years. It's only 2 years. And it was kind of hilarious how this deal kind of like rolled out. At first, Chris Johnston said like under $15 million, which everybody was like, holy shit, that's a steal. Then Ryan Rishaug said under 14. We're like, this is the greatest deal of all time. And then it comes in at $12.5 million, his exact same goddamn cap hit of his 8-year deal that he signed back in 2017. And yeah, the way that I look at it, it's like the perfect deal for McDavid from like a PR standpoint, because he's not going to get really blamed that much unless he completely ghosts in the playoffs because he took such a sweetheart deal. And basically, the next 3 years, if they don't win the Stanley Cup when he's only making $12.5 million, like nobody is going to fault him if he ends up leaving. Like that's how I see it for McDavid. It's awesome. Thankfully for the rest of the players in the NHL, Kaprizov signed for $17 million, which we'll talk about shortly. So like that at least still reset the market. McDavid kind of did the players a disservice with this, but he only really gives a shit about winning a Stanley Cup at this point. He already has a top 15 all-time like trophy case. What's your initial thoughts?
So the way that I found out about this, by the way, is through Paul Bissonnette because I saw something saying that McDavid signed today, and of course he did get signed. I was very shocked at the 12.5
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't like. I said from the get go when Kaprizov signed his deal, which again we'll get into, I said that there is no way McDavid is getting 17,
Mm-hmm.
at least like right now in Edmonton. I said there was no way. I figured like 15 would be realistic. Like even maybe he just gets the same as Dry. 12.5 is just crazy. It's one hell of a lockup for Bowman, even though it is a 2-year deal. But this kind of tells you that like this is kind of like not like a trial run, but it's like the last chance for the Oilers these
Mm-hmm.
last 3 years to win a Stanley Cup. And if they don't, I'm gonna be honest with you, he's gone. He
Yeah.
is gone. He is not coming back. Um, he will not come back. And I don't think anybody would expect him to if you don't win a cup with this team. Again, the concerns are still there. The aging roster is definitely something that they discussed, and McDavid even said publicly. And I think that, yeah, they brought in guys like Howard and Savoy to, I guess, solve that problem, but it still remains to be seen how that's going to change. So I guess McDavid's doing this to, like give the Oilers a last chance here these last 3 years. If they win, that's great. Then they win a Stanley Cup. I mean, to be honest with you, like at the end of that contract, if they win, even if they win a cup, like I think there's still a pretty good
He
chance
could
he
just
goes.
cash in. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially with that older core. Like, Hyman's like 34, 35. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is 33. Ekholm's like 35 years old. So yeah, if they win next year and then the following 2 years they don't win, I wouldn't blame him for eventually leaving. And yeah, I think he just signed it now because he just didn't want to deal with the media the rest of the season. Like he was getting pretty pissed, and I don't blame him because every single media scrum was about his contract. And also with this signing at $12.5 million, he could just want out. Like if they missed the playoffs this year with only 2 years, 12.5, freaking Connor McDavid, like the Oilers would still be able to get an absolute haul for him, and he could go to some other team. So it just gives him so much flexibility. And yeah, at that cap hit, it is genuinely insane that he's only going to be making $12.5 million. There is some things like compared to Kaprizov, he hasn't had like a super bag at this point. Yeah, versus McDavid signed for 8 years, $12.5 million. So it's understandable why Kaprizov wanted every single last cent because Minnesota hasn't really been that close to contention. Versus McDavid, they're just on the precipice of potentially winning a Stanley Cup, and also we'll talk about being able to use some of those savings basically immediately to re-sign Jake Walman. It just makes McDavid like how can you not root for him at this point to win a Stanley Cup when he's this committed? So often we talk about players not being willing to take that supreme discount. He genuinely left $5 to $8 million per season on this deal. Like that is
Yeah,
nutty.
100%. And again, like it not only helps, it's not only good and flexible for McDavid, but it also does help the team too.
Mm-hmm.
McDavid's cap hit stays the same for the next 2 years essentially. So, like again, they don't really have a lot of cap space to begin with, and you still got to sign like Matthias Ekholm's coming off the books. You got Henrique to sign, Kapanen. Like you probably won't sign all of those guys, but again, like it gives you a little bit more flexibility as opposed to like, oh, he's got $3 million more kicking in and we have to move somebody out. Like they're still in cap hell, but at least this kind of helps them a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And I just looked at their Puckpedia. Skinner and Pickard are both pending unrestricted free agents.
Yep.
So you save $4 to $5 million on McDavid. It definitely makes it a lot more flexible to potentially go out and get a goaltender, assuming Connor Ingram isn't some huge answer in net for them. So yeah, just the pure flexibility that this provides for the Edmonton Oilers is it just completely changes the landscape in terms of their next 2 year outlook and the flexibility that they will have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about now the super deal. I think there's more to talk about with the Kirill Kaprizov 8 year deal at $17 million. Babiak said that he was not going to re-sign in Minnesota. I was pretty adamant that it was going to happen. And yeah, $17 million. I think at just like a certain point, Kaprizov just couldn't say no to it. Maybe he doesn't absolutely love Minnesota, but getting that much of an increase compared to a Leon Draisaitl at $14 million. And of course, that was in a different cap environment. But yeah, thankfully for the rest of the players across the league, Kirill Kaprizov wanted every single last penny, and he got it because the Minnesota Wild's owner was an absolute idiot. In all summer, he was saying the last year he's been saying we're gonna make him the highest paid player in the NHL. It's gonna happen. So then he was shocked when he turned down 8 years, $16 million. So this was kind of a fumble by the Minnesota Wild's management and ownership. Kaprizov knew that he had all the leverage in the world. And again, unlike McDavid, they had not proven to him that they could build an actual contender as of right now. So he didn't have this built-in loyalty. He's only been there for 5 years. He's from Russia compared to McDavid playing in a Canadian market. That, yeah, it's something that you have to swallow. Again, I gave it a B-, and people thought that I absolutely hated the contract. It's what you have to give a guy of his caliber in that situation. But it is. And again, we didn't expect 12.5 for McDavid, but we knew that it was going to be like 15 to 16. So this is kind of an objective overpayment a little bit, but it's okay to overpay true superstars in the NHL. It's not going to be the end all be all. It's when you overpay depth guys that kills you.
So yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like this is one of those situations where like, is he overpaid? Absolutely. Like I wouldn't be paying Kaprizov that amount of money. I'm just gonna be blunt with you. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe if he goes somewhere else, like I don't know, but like when you look in the grand scheme of things, he's not the best player in the league. He's certainly top 10. You could argue even top 5. I know you had him top 5 in your list. 4. Yeah, so
Yeah.
4. There you go. But again, he's not the best player in the league, so maybe he shouldn't be the highest paid player. But however, you got to look at the other circumstances here. You look at how the salary cap is going up, and players are going to start getting paid more money. And some of the contracts that were
Mm-hmm.
signed, That's definitely the case. As well as that, too, you got to look at the value that he has to the team, not his value overall in the league, the value to the team. And the value that Kaprizov brings is detrimental to the Minnesota Wild. And there's really no doubt about it. You made a TikTok, and I thought you had a really good point. You said that, like, when Kaprizov is hurt, they have horrible metrics.
Like 87
it's
point pace team, I think, and then like
Yep.
108 when he did play this season. He was a hard favorite for a reason for the first half of the goddamn season.
Exactly. And I think that it's worth for Minnesota to swallow this pill. It's not a pretty tough pill to swallow, but it's worth it. And it does really screw up the market in a sense where, like, now you're asking the question, what the hell's Makar gonna get? And you also have you look forward from 2027, you look to 2028, you got Matthews and McDavid. So what's gonna happen there?
They
Like, you
wanted
have a lot
to sign at the same time. That's what Leafs fans are
yeah,
justifying
but
right now. July 1st, 2028. Both of them are going to resign. Or maybe your Arizona
yeah,
Coyotes
I
will
don't
be
really
back
talk
by
about
then.
that. But yeah, I totally agree with what you were saying. Like, you got to look at it in terms of, like, the value with Minnesota and how valuable he is to him, not the value he has throughout the league. So there you go. Like, I think, again, like, would I pay Kaprizov 17? No. But if I were Minnesota and I look at my roster and I say he has carried us year in and year out, he's totally right to ask for this. And one of the things that I said when he turned down that $16 million deal was that it could have been the overall playoff performance. Like, maybe it wasn't the money exactly. Maybe they were offering him too much money that he just couldn't refuse. Maybe he just was worried about overall playoff performance, and maybe he just didn't want to be here, but they offered him too much money. Again, that's me speculating.
Yeah,
But
no, I
regardless,
think I think that probably is what it is. They haven't won a single round with him. I don't think Minnesota is like, although the weather is kind of like Russia. I don't think it's the most like Russian city of all time, or just like most glamorous city in the NHL, just like objectively. So they had to overpay him. Like I've said it multiple times. I love Matt Boldy. Is Matt Boldy a number one forward on like a serious playoff team? Not a chance in hell, at least right now. Maybe he breaks out, but if he breaks out, it's gonna have a lot to do with Kirill Kaprizov. So you just had to swallow it. Like you know you have in Kirill Kaprizov. There's a mystery box of how you could spend that $17 million, but more likely than not, considering you don't have that future franchise star piece that could replace him, you're just locking in the sure thing. If you Bill Guerin and your seat is kind of hot if you're him. If they miss the playoffs this year, like he maybe should be gone if you miss the playoffs 2 out of 3 years with this current team. So yeah, the pressure is on for the Minnesota Wild, and they really unfortunately didn't have a choice. I think if it got to like 18.5, $19 million, I think at that point you maybe would consider it. But just given how valuable he is, the difference between him and the second best player on his team is just a giant gap, unlike any other serious team in the NHL, where you just got to do it. And rightfully so, his management got every single last penny. Go get your bag. I'm not going to hate on a player for that. Now, if he complains about the team not having depth next season, then I think it's open season to make fun of him and clown on him. But yeah, he had his objective to get paid, and the Minnesota Wild just didn't have any leverage.
yeah, they didn't have any leverage at all. I totally agree. It's just one of those things, again, and I'll wrap here. It's one of those things that you kind of had to do.
You swallow it, but you know that you kind of got bodied. It's a C plus, B minus at the end of the day. But they were able to also re-sign, despite giving Kirill Kaprizov $17 million, or extend, should I say, Philip Gustavsson, 5 years, $6.8 million. I've been pretty high on Gustavsson. He has been very erratic in Minnesota. He just needs to be consistent, kind of like he was last year. But he has had a 931, then an 899, then a 914 last year. So he's averaged a 914 over his 3 seasons. I think that he is a top 8 to 14 goalie in the NHL. He's still only 27 years old, so there's a chance that he's going to get even better from this point. And with Wallstead having an 879 in the AHL, I don't think you could have trusted Wallstead long-term to be the guy quite yet. And this is only a 5-year deal, so it's not a UC Soros like 8-year, like Askarov has absolutely no path to being the starter until he's like 30, 31 years old. This deal is going to be up when Wallstead is 27 years old, coming into his prime. So yeah, I really like it. 6.8 sounds like a lot, but he was a pending unrestricted free agent. He wasn't a restricted free agent. And yeah, I think that he's just going to be a solid starter for them. And they've had goalie problems in recent years where I think that you just, similarly to Kaprizov, just get this done before the season, because if he did break out, you would have been looking at eight-ish million dollars.
Yeah, so like you said, I mean, he lacks consistency from season to season. You look at his numbers, even dating back to when he was with the Ottawa Senators. Like he's LeBlanc called him an odd year merchant, and I thought that was pretty funny because it's always the odd years where he's doing really well, and then the even years he really does struggle. I think regardless, though, like all jokes aside, I think this guy's a great goalie. I think I had him number 10 in my
I had him
rankings.
8 or 9 or
Again,
something.
yeah, I'm not very concerned with like, the longevity for Wallstead because I think again, like as you said, it's not a Saros length deal where, he was pretty much like, yeah, he was pretty much told with that contract, like, you're not going to be the starter.
Mm-hmm.
I think Wallstead, he has a contract, and I think this deal will take him till he's 27. So Philip Gustafsson's age, he has time to prove himself. And I think again, like he'll be the backup next year. He'll be the backup moving forward. So again, it's also not like Askarov in a sense where Askarov was like the third string.
Yeah.
And
Askarov had like a back-to-back 9-10 seasons in the AHL, and they still couldn't promise him the net. Like Wallstead, after struggling a decent amount, needs to have a good season this year. And again, with Gustafsson, he's only 27 years old, so this deal takes him between 28 and 32. There's not even like any real age risk for it. So as long as he's an above average starter at $6.8 million, and even if he gets phased out to being kind of like the 1B the final season or second to last season, by the time with the salary cap going up, like I don't know how you don't think that this is a very solid deal. It's not a Dustin Wolf level deal, but I probably have more confidence in this deal than the Lukasz Dostal deal. Not saying that's a bad deal. Like I'm saying they're both good deals, but there's at least more of a track record with Gustavsson, and it doesn't kick in for another year. So you get more of a cap jump.
Yeah, I agree as well. And I mean, just it's not even really it's not a lot of money either. Like there's a lot of other goalies who are getting paid more than him who maybe shouldn't be, to be honest with you, when you look at how good these goalies are. But even still, like I think Gustafsson has a good track record. Again, maybe the odd year merchant thing's a concern, but he can prove that wrong this year. So I think overall this is a good contract. And there's really nothing much else to really complain about here, to be honest.
Yeah, he also has a 917 in 11 career playoff games. So he's been pretty
Yeah, he
solid
was
in the
very good.
playoffs as well. Yeah, he's actually stepped up in a big way compared to some other Minnesota Wild players that have maybe not. But yeah, you do this deal 10 times out of 10. Barkov tore his ACL. We haven't recorded in a while. That happened like 11, 12 days ago. Says 7 to 9 months. Then he told Eric Spoelstra he might be back in like 5 to 6 months, which would put him like right before the 2026 playoffs. So yeah, do you have any concern about Florida potentially missing the playoffs as a result of this, or are you're not buying
No, I'm not buying that. I have bought that so many times
it?
before with other injuries. I'm not buying that. And I think Florida, like everybody's saying, like, oh, they'll be like a wild card team and this and that. And like, yeah, that's possible. But again, I can't see a world unless if more of them get hurt where they don't make the playoffs. Kachuk's going to be back in December.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be okay. Like, my biggest thing is Florida needs to make a real decision here. Like they need to evaluate the trade deadline. Are you going to be back?
Yeah.
Like that's what they need to really evaluate here. And if they don't know, they got to make a decision. Do you want to use that? Because again, there's playoff salary caps. Do you want to use that cap space, keep Barkov out for the year, go out and get somebody? Or do you want to just hold it out and possibly just wait till he comes back for the playoffs if he does come back?
Yeah,
So
that is really fascinating because with the first year of the salary cap in the playoffs, like if they traded for somebody, if it starts to go south at the start of this season, and Bill Zito's like, "Holy shit, I got to make a move," and then they get back into a playoff spot, but fully healthy, they're $8 million over the salary cap. I think by trade deadline, they would know like 6 weeks out from the playoffs whether he'd be playing or not. But yeah, I'm very interested to see if they get off to a slow start, would he just say, I'll deal with that salary cap stuff later. We just got to make the playoffs right now, because I can't see a world where if they do struggle to start, which I don't think that they will, but I can't see a world where Bill Zito just sits on his ass and just on a team that is aggressive the next 3 to 4 years to win everything. We're going to talk about that with the Mikkola deal. They're going to suck in the mid-30s. Like I can't see him just be like, wasted season, whatever. If he tore his ACL in like November, December, and there was zero chance of him returning, maybe you just pack it up. But nah, even without Barkov and Kachuk, they're probably still a playoff team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, and it's a great topic to really talk about because like beforehand, like you'd be like, oh, it's fine, they'll have him back for the playoffs. There's no salary cap. Like now you got to make a real decision of what you want to
Mm-hmm.
do. So I totally agree with you. I think that Bill Zito has never had a problem with cap space and things like that, as a couple of other teams in the league. So I think they'll be able to figure it out, and I really don't have any doubt at all that they won't make the playoffs. Like they will definitely be a playoff team this year. Now, whether that's in like the last wild card
Yeah,
spot,
they
you
were
never
only like
know.
98
Or
points last year. Granted, they
yeah,
coasted. Like they knew by December that they just needed to get to like high 90s with the
yeah.
shit show that was going on with like the eighth spot in the Eastern Conference. But yeah, I think that they're just gonna coast. They're gonna find a way to get in. It's not gonna be a big problem.
And no matter where they finish, they will go on a deep run. Like it doesn't matter at this
Now
point.
they're
They
losing to the
won the
Tampa Bay
division.
Lightning
They
in the
went to the
first round.
final. They finished
Yeah.
last. They went to the final. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's really
They'll go on.
like it. If Barkov's back for the first round, I'd probably pick him to win the Stanley Cup again. Like, that's just how it goes. If he's not, I think the Leafs or the even the Tampa Bay Lightning could potentially beat them. But it's just so interesting how that timeline is going to play out and how he's going to handle it.
But people have been saying that like, oh, they're gonna miss. Like Barkov is not the only player on this team anymore.
Hmm.
Like this
Yeah,
is
they're able
a
to
stacked
bring
roster.
back Seth Jones and Brad Marchand. Like those deals, those or not. Seth Jones was under contract. Bring back Bennett, Ekblad, and Marchand. Like again, even without Kachuk and Barkov, they're probably like a 95, 96 point pace team.
They will be fine. Like I don't see a world where they don't make the playoffs.
I wouldn't hate a
So
world where they missed the playoffs. That'd be pretty funny. We're
well,
gonna,
yeah, okay. Well, I would like to see somebody else win a cup.
yeah.
Not saying that like, I don't like Florida, but sure. Like
Philadelphia is gonna take their playoff spot.
all right,
Serious
let's
hot
yeah,
take.
let's not
I'm
put
looking out
that
for
take
you.
out.
All right, we're gonna move on to the young defenseman Jackson LaCombe signing an 8-year deal at $9 million. I, I like the deal just because I think what we saw with LaCombe the final 2/3 of the season is what he's going to be going forward, considering he had 37 points in his final 55 games after they traded Cam Fowler, was playing like 24 minutes a night. His micro stats are absolutely insane. With that said, like I would have thought that they'd be able to get him to like 8.25, 8.5, just because like it's really just last season and it's really just the final 2/3 of last season. So I still think it's like an A- contract, but I don't love the negotiating here, if that makes sense.
Well, you want to know who I think influenced that? Luke Hughes
But Luke Hughes at
with
least
that
has two. I'm not saying Jackson LaComb's final 2/3 of last season is way better than anything Luke Hughes has done in a
yes.
2/3 stretch. But at least with Luke Hughes, he's a 2021 draftee and was like 2 weeks away from being a 2022 draftee. Has back-to-back 40-point seasons. His brother is the franchise superstar, and his other brother might be coming in a couple of years. So, like, compare that. I just again, it's still a good contract. It's still a very good contract. Don't get me wrong, but that number did surprise me in terms of, oh, Lacomb's camp had that much leverage to demand that much. Still happy that they got it done. Still think it's going to be a very good deal, but it's not like the Jake Sanderson deal. They were able to get him at only $8 million after he had a very, very good rookie season and lock him into that. And that deal is one of the best in the entire NHL. I don't think Lacombe's gonna be that good. I thought that they'd be able to get Lacombe after an even shorter sample size when he's
You
older
know what
to
really
get there.
surprises me about this? He's the highest paid Duck ever.
Yeah.
Like that just seems crazy to me.
I guess
But I guess
Getzlaff and Perry, yeah, I guess their final contracts are probably what, like an 8-year deal in like 2012. And the salary cap was like 60 million.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of wild. Yeah, I Luke Hughes definitely has more, like, I guess, more playing time. LaCombe, yeah, he's played over 150 games in the league, but this is his first year where, like, we really were he was on our radar. He played 71 games in 23-24, was not that great, but this year got more of an opportunity, played really good. And I've seen some Ducks fans have optimism that they think that there's more of an offensive side to this, which we'll see. Honestly, I mean, we really don't know, but I think LaCombe, like this is a good contract regardless. I think that he has a lot to prove, but we're seeing this a lot more with some of these in a sense where guys are getting signed after having one really good year, like Dylan Gunther had that. I believe Coronado had one of those. Now, whether you
Mm-hmm.
think those are good deals or not, you're seeing this a lot more often. And we also need to accept that guys are going to start getting paid a lot more money than what they were 5 years ago or even 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think the first, like, at least with the defenseman market, it wasn't someone coming off an ELC, but I think like the Jacob Chikrin deal was really that first one where we were like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
holy shit. Granted, he was a pending UFA, but when he signed for 8 years, $9 million, it was like, my God, that deal obviously looks better nowadays. But yeah, again, for the Ducks, I really liked it. I thought Verbeek was going to bridge both McTavish and LaCombe. I'm happy that he did this just from a leverage perspective. I think LaCombe's going to be a consistent 50 to 60 point transitional demon, but it's just wanted it $500,000 less. Still a very good deal, though.
Yeah, totally.
All right, we're going to stick with the Anaheim Ducks before we get to Luke Hughes. McTavish signed the memeiest contract extension of all time, 6 years, $7 million. Yeah, this one, I think McTavish is their second line center of the future. You would have loved to get it to 7 to 8 years, but at 6 years, considering he hasn't fully broken out and his defensive numbers are a little bit disappointing and just like kind of straight up bad. But yeah, he's like a 6'2" wrecking ball, has a really good shot, has a really high compete level. And I think he can eventually get to like 30 goals, 40 assists, 70 points. You still got some serious term on this, and to have him and LaCombe at $16 million combined for like the next 6 seasons after this is very good.
Yeah, McTavish definitely still a good contract. I think it's kind of good for both teams because in a sense McTavish gets his money here. He also gets to play. But as well as that too, you look at Anaheim, they have a lot of their core expiring next year. Like you have Carlson, Gauthier, Zellweger, Minukov. Like you have basically your entire young core expiring next year. This kind of sets the not like the market, but it sets the
for Carlson,
standard.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think McTavish, it's a good contract for both sides. Good 50-point scorer last year. Number 2 center. I would say that there's not really much to complain about here or say. But it is good that he is playing because again, when you miss training camp, it can affect you.
Yeah, we saw that with Trevor Zegras, the Anaheim Ducks. And yeah, for McTavish, I think it's a really good deal. You lock up $42 million and he's going to be a UFA at what, like 27, 28 years old? How old is he right now? 22?
6-year deal. He'll be 28.
Yeah, so it kicks in now. It's not even like LaCombe, which is another year from now. But yeah, gets him the secured bag. And if he does eventually pan out to what I think that he can be, like 30 goals, 70 points, then he can sign his 8-year, $11 million contract. Then, but yeah, good on Verbeek for getting it done. I really did not have the confidence in him to handle the contracts like this, considering he took on Jacob Trouba for absolutely nothing and gave Mikael Granlund the 3x7, took on Kreider at what, like 5.5? What does he make? $6 million. So yeah, good for the Ducks. What do you think a Leo Carlson extension would look like?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me pull up the stats here real quick.
I think he had 45 points last year, 20 goals, 25 assists, right?
And he still has another year to keep going. If he takes a step and let's say he gets around.
If you were Carlson's agent, what deal would you take right now? If you're Carlson and his agent, 8-year deal.
8 years? Oh, I'd probably go. I mean, I honestly would say like go up to like around 8, to be honest with you.
That's fair.
8, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, we got to touch on the Logan Cooley turning down the 8 years, 9.6. That
I'm
just
not good
reminded
with
me of that.
predicting contracts.
But yeah, I think if you went to him right now, considering he has not fully broken out, I've said at length, I think that this is going to be the breakout for Leo Carlson, considering he has some solid winger talent and the power play was so fucking bad last year. But yeah, 8 years, I think it would have to be like 8.75 if I'm Leo Carlson sign now, because I think if he does have the breakout that I think that he is, it's going to be 8 years, 10.5, $11 million.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, speaking of, let's just hit on it now. Logan Cooley declined an 8-year deal at $9.6 million. I'm also on his side in this, considering Utah should be a borderline playoff team this year, and he should go for like 70, 75 points at least. That number could be like 11 next summer.
If we're saying Carlson's getting 8 and he had 45, Cooley had 65 this year.
In 75 games, too. He missed 7 games.
Yeah, exactly.
I still think Leo Carlson is the better long-term. Like, I know that the production hasn't been there, but I would bet on Leo Carlson long-term just because, like, Utah was a fun team last year and pretty good offensively. Anaheim was dog shit, like utter shit. But they are comparable. Yeah. They're all very comparable. And Logan Cooley obviously has a lot more right now negotiation power than a Leo Carlson, considering what he did last year.
I agree. Yeah, I think that Cooley is right to be asking for more money. I think, like, again, it's a little bit frustrating for me as somebody who does root for the Mammoth, former Coyotes fan. Gotta
Mm,
always say that, or otherwise I look like a
you got the
bandwagon.
jersey back there,
But
both.
yeah, I do. But regardless, I think that he's right to ask for more money. He's proven it, and I think even this year he can get even better. So to be blunt with you, like, yeah, he's right to do this. Am I okay with it? No, no, I'm not.
Greedy.
But he's right to ask for more money for sure. And
Yeah.
I think honestly, he could wait. He could wait. He's all the time in the world. He's also an RFA too, so
Yeah, I
it's not
think
like
I
there's like.
I think he saw what happened with his buddy Dylan Gunther, which Dylan Gunther had a way smaller sample size, but he signed 8 years, $7.1 million. And I already genuinely think that's a top 15 contract in the NHL. If Dylan Gunther were to sign an 8-year deal right now, it would be $9.5 million easily.
Yep, I totally agree.
So yeah, Logan
Totally.
Cooley playing it smart, betting on himself. I still can't I tweeted this out 9,000 times. It does piss me off though when these young guys off an ELC when they've made like $2 to $3 million in their fucking careers. But people are like, how could you take that deal when you could make like $1 to $2 million more per season if you broke out? Like it's Logan Cooley has the stones to do it, but it's tough to turn down $77 million in a sport where
It is.
hockey.
It's bold for sure. You have to have a lot of confidence in
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Turn down that much money.
In a sport like hockey where your brain could be fried 1 second, you could go into the boards and break your leg at any point. Again, don't want that to happen to anybody. But yeah, that always cracks me up, especially when it's like some of these really young guys that are going to have another huge contract when they're 28, 29. It's not like it's a lifetime deal and they're selling themselves short. So I just always got to get that take off because it really pisses me off when people are like, what an idiot, fire our agent. Let's relax.
Yeah.
Luke Hughes signed 7 years, $9 million. I've always been very high on Luke Hughes. He was like my number 2 or number 3 prospect in 2022. I still think that he's going to end up being a legit number 1 defenseman. I think the skating is so goddamn elite, and especially his transitional game is going to be one of the best in the NHL. Needs to be better physically, needs to be better defensively, but he's not horrible defensively by any stretch. And him being such a good skater makes up for a lot of maybe mental lapses defensively or lack of physicality. And yeah, I think when you look at him, especially at the end of last year, he had 20 points in his final 21 games when Dougie Hamilton was hurt, 70 points in 79 games when Dougie Hamilton doesn't play. I think once he overtakes Dougie Hamilton, we'll quickly see this deal be worth it.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of this when it initially dropped, but I guess it's fair when you look at even Jackson LaCombe's contract and how Luke Hughes has more, not only games played, more points. I mean, again, like obviously they were drafted in different years, but regardless, like Luke Hughes has more consistent years. I definitely agree with you though. He needs to be better defensively. I think seeing this deal go down, I think there is a chance. I've seen some people speculate that Dougie Hamilton could be traded. Like, I don't really know what is behind that, but because again, he has 3 more years left at $9 million and he's 32.
Bad contract. People don't realize that he plays like 55 games a year. It's a bad contract.
And the Devils have a stacked blue line as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even like now, I think they might have to make a move to trade somebody away on that back end. They just have just such a logjam on their defense. It's crazy. And not only that, like people like in their top 6, you have Hamilton, Hughes, Pesce, Dillon, Kovacevic, and Siegenthaler. You have Nemec and Casey, who are not even in that top 6, who are worthy of being in.
Yeah, when they re-signed Kovacevic, he had a very good year, but when they gave him like 5 years, $4 million, I'm like, what is the plan for those two guys? Like you have Brett Pesce on like a 5-year left deal at 4.5 or 5.5. I don't know what it is. Like, yeah, they need to move off Dougie Hamilton or just trade those two young guys. But at this point, you're not getting good value for them because they know the position that you're in terms of your depth chart.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think again, like it's a good contract for sure. And I think for New Jersey, it does shape out to be a pretty good contract, signing 7 years.
Yeah.
I was a little bit like, I don't really like this just because of the fact that I didn't think he's worth that money, at least defensively. But I guess with the market going up, everything's being reset and all that. So
yeah, let me say like it's going to be a bad deal this year. I don't think he's going to be worth $9 million. Probably the following year he won't be like he'll be like $1 million off $9 million. From that perspective, I can't say it's like an A plus for the New Jersey Devils, just because this is a team like the Ducks are probably still 2 to 3 years away from being a serious threat. And LaCombe doesn't hit for another year where he'll be worth it when they're actually trying to win. Versus Luke Hughes, there is solid risk that the first 2 to 3 years of this deal, it is negative value. But I do think, especially with his brother being the franchise superstar, with potentially like a Quinn Hughes tax added on, I wish that they got an 8th year on this deal. But I'm still just a very big believer in the player, and I think that he's just a little bit overhated and over scrutinized because of his last name. You could argue that he got this contract because of his last name, but also I feel like that there is definitely a magnifying glass on him.
You know what? I think you are kind of right with that. You do have a good point. I have a question for you, though. It doesn't exactly relate to Luke Hughes, but it does relate to a certain buddy named Lane Hudson.
Ooh,
so we
bring it
saw a
on.
report today from Emily Kaplan who said, quote, the NHL salary landscape is changing fast. Hearing Lane Hudson was willing to take an 8-year deal, slightly less than Noah Dobson's $9.5 million AAV, but it didn't get done on the Canadiens' end. That was before the market reset with Luke Hughes and Jackson LaCombe last week.
Yeah.
So
I said when they traded for Dobson, I was like, that's an unintended or intended maybe consequence that they inflicted on themselves. Once you give Noah Dobson 9.5, I'm not saying Lane's going to get 11.5, but especially once he outplays Noah Dobson, which I think Canadian fans would agree with, like, although Noah Dobson was a year away from unrestricted free agency, yeah, the price definitely went up for Lane Hudson. And granted, it's not like he could have signed an extension before they traded for Noah Dobson or once they traded for him, because they traded for Noah Dobson before the draft. He wasn't extension eligible until July 1st. But yeah, all these new contracts have definitely made it look like probably going to be 10.5. And I think anything under 11.5 is still a good deal for Lane Hudson. I just believe in the offensive talent that much. But yeah, it's not going to be some huge discount that Montreal Canadiens fans like in the range of Suzuki and Caulfield that were signed in flat cap systems. And those guys did not have like the most productive defenseman rookie season of the 21st century or something like it.
Yeah. So I definitely think that it creates a lot of different good discussions for sure. So I'm looking forward to seeing what his contract's going to be, because I've seen some people say that he's going to take a team friendly deal. I've seen others say that he could get like 12. You never know. This guy won the Calder.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that those two guys don't have.
And his dad is quite vocal. LeVar Hudson, as I call it. LeVar Hudson. We'll go play in America if he doesn't want to give my boy $12 million. Puts the freaking reverse. Yeah. Maybe look at a clause in the contract. The Canadians pay him an extra $500,000. He'll switch nationalities and play for Team Canada. That's how they get it done. But yeah, moving on from a restricted free agent defenseman to a pending unrestricted free agent defenseman. Jake Walman, 7 years, $7 million. We talked about it a little bit with the Connor McDavid deal. Him taking such a discount allows them to bring back Walman. It's just hilarious. I made a post on it how he got basically cap dumped by the Detroit Red Wings when he was making $30.4 million for 2 more seasons. He was awesome for them in the playoffs, had a 57.7% expected goals percentage throughout their run at 5-on-5. He was really like that second offensive defenseman that Edmonton badly needed behind Evan Bouchard. Previously, like Darnell Nurse kind of had to fill that role, and it doesn't kick in until the following year. He is going to be 30 years old when it starts, so there's some age concern, but I think as we talked about before, this team is getting so old, they probably only have like 4 to 5 more years. They'll be good as long as McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard are there, but like the window is now that you don't really care about the final 3 to 4 years of this contract. Yeah, it's just the price of doing business for a good second pair defenseman at this point. What do you think about Walman? What do you think about the deal?
It's still crazy that Detroit traded him away with a second round.
And everybody knew it. It wasn't even like in the moment you're like, okay, that makes sense. It's like you still have Justin Holl under contract for 2 more years. I think it might have been 3.4 as well. You still have Ben Sherratt 2 years at 4.75, and they're like,
trade the wrong one.
Yeah, like, the league office, you called in the wrong one. Like, oh, it was crazy, dude. And the quote came out that like apparently he didn't call around the league, like it was like his second call or something. And Mike Greer's like, yeah, I'll do it for a second round pick.
With the second,
yeah, with this, like even if you dumped them for nothing, it would have made sense. But it's typical Yzerman, man.
Yeah. And anyway, enough about bullying Yzerman. Regardless, I think it's a good deal. It's a good deal. Like right now, like when you look down the road in like the 5th or 6th year of that deal, like it's the Oilers probably won't be good by then. McDavid might honestly be gone, as we said. But I do think that like he was a very good acquisition last year in the playoffs when he came there. It does shape up and makes it a very good 1 through 5 blue line with him on that roster. So overall, I think I don't really have a lot to say. I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, and especially
At
with
least right
Matthias Ekholm, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt considering he got tossed in the middle of like the Western Conference Finals, but he was kind of ass like in the playoffs last year. So there's a chance that
now.
Walman plays as their number 2 defenseman this season because Ekholm's 35, 36 years old. I'll check that right now. Where I could see a world where not that I could maybe see a world where Ekholm falls off and he's their number 3 or number 4 going forward, or they just completely move off him. That wouldn't shock me. He's 35 years old.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's going to be interesting with Ekholm for sure. Because again, like, yeah, he wasn't that great in the playoffs last year. I think that narrative needs to change. But he was injured, so
Mm-hmm.
you don't really know. We'll find
It's
out.
a good problem to have 2 lefties
It is a
of
good
that
problem to have.
caliber. All right, sticking in Canada, Anthony Stolarz, Central Jersey kid himself. Shout out Jackson, New Jersey. 4 years, $3.75 million, ex Philadelphia Flyers goalie as well.
He is.
Legend. Yeah, when this guy plays, last 2 years, he's been like the best goalie in hockey. It's only been like 50 games or something like that. He's never played more than 35 games in his career. So yeah, I understand the Leafs just wanting to lock him up at like low end 1B money and eventual like backup money in a couple of years. It's very good for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Very good for him, who's only made $7 million in his career. Again, there were people coming out of the woodwork about how can you not play out the season and want more money? But yeah, it's Toronto doesn't have that legit number 1 starter, and that's one of the hardest things to find in hockey. But they've replicated it in the aggregate, at least in the regular season, between him and Wool, only making a combined $7-ish million, 7.4. Wool's at 3.66. So yeah, for the next couple of regular seasons, they're set. Then hopefully Wool just emerges as a starter, and Stolarz 3.75 is going to be okay backup money by like the final 2 years of this contract. So yeah, it's pretty solid. What do you think?
I think Stolarz could have asked for a little bit more money here instead of 3.5. It's a pretty good deal for Toronto, and there's not a lot of risk to it either. I think Stolarz has shown in the last 2 seasons that he can be a good goaltender. Maybe not like a full blown starter. He's never played that kind of role, which is fine, and that's why he's getting paid 3.5. Like it's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine if
3.75.
he's a
Yeah.
1A or 1B situation there. I do want to say like Joseph Wall. I do have some like concerns because he took a leave of absence and they just claimed Caden Primo off of waivers from Carolina. It does make you wonder. I know we're talking about Stolarz. I'm going off topic, but it does make
That's
you
the same
wonder. Like
topic.
with them getting Primo, could that mean Wall is going to be out longer?
Yeah, I don't like to read into the leaves of absence too much
Yeah,
with
I
doing something
understand
like
that.
that.
I
But
understand. Yeah,
yeah, they figure out the goalie situation, which after like Freddie Anderson fell off, they had Jack Campbell for a little bit. It was looking pretty up in the air. They had Samsonov for that 2 seasons or what was it? But at least in the regular season, they're covered. One of those guys hopefully needs to step up for a playoff run, and Stolarz was stepping up for that until Sam Bennett took him out in the playoffs.
let him
But
catch up, buddy.
yeah, hopefully they don't play Florida in the playoffs next season, even though they were ex teammates. But yeah, it's a good deal. And Brad Treliving has just been negotiating a lot of good contracts, like compared to Kyle Dubas, who consistently got tossed around in contract negotiations. Treliving has just done the exact opposite for the most part.
Yep, I don't really have a lot of complaints about this one. I think that it's a good deal.
Yeah. All right. Cam Fowler, 3 years, $6.1 million. It's solid. He is going to be 35 years old in December of 2026, like basically once this deal kicks in. So there's some age concern, but we're looking at him in Braco last season, outscored opponents 31-18 and had an expected goals percentage of 55.5%. And yeah, the Blues' future of their blue line, I think Broberg is trending in a good direction. Malu, Jiricek needs to stay healthy. So I think you just kind of had to keep him, extend him. Maybe you should have seen how the year played out because I can't even imagine him asking for like that much more next offseason.
Yeah,
But you didn't want to risk it when you have a pair that was so effective for you, and he had like 10 points in 7 games in the playoffs. Like
yeah.
you just get it done. Worst case scenario, like maybe the second and final year of this deal is kind of bad, but by then you can kind of just move him down the lineup or dump him off to a tanking team.
Yeah, I agree. I think again, like it's I mean, it's a 3-year contract, so it's not like he signed like a 6-year deal. And this will take him until he's 36. I thought he looked good in St. Louis last year. It's just a question of can he replicate that?
Yeah.
Like again, his career high prior to that is 42 points. So he had 36 in that time with St. Louis alone. I do ask myself the question: is he going to be able to replicate that? If he does, then that deal looks great. But if he doesn't, then I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm confident in him at least being better than what he was with Anaheim for sure.
Yeah, it's just this situation where he was not playing meaningful games for the last 4 to 5 years. His analytics were dog shit on pretty dog shit teams, and he found his love for the game again, and he was a huge reason why they ended up making the playoffs. Will he have that same juice in his mid-30s the next 3 years, next 4 years he's under contract? We'll see, but if you're St. Louis, you just get it done and don't worry about it going forward. Not another trade. We got a trade, the Connor Ingram trade for future considerations. Not the Coyotes. The Mammoth retained $800,000 on Connor Ingram. I'm going to let you start with this one just because you are the Arizona Coyotes guy.
So Ingram was very interesting last year. He dealt with the passing of his mother, and he ended up going into the player assistance program. In Utah, like, he wasn't that terrible. He had a winning record. He did have a .882. Like, his advanced numbers weren't the greatest, but even still, like, I think that the previous years in Arizona had a .907 and such, and we forget back in 2022 he had those playoff games with Nashville against Colorado. He played incredible. So he had a .913 in just 3 losses. It was crazy. And we forget too that in that year he only played 3 NHL games. He played all the year in the AHL and came up with those numbers, and that gave him the deal in Arizona. He puts up back-to-back .907 seasons, had good numbers there. His numbers improved as well throughout the years, that being. I think that, again, like, for Edmonton, he won't necessarily be their solution right away. He'll go down in Bakersfield. That was already announced because he didn't play in training camp.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing. He didn't participate in the Mammoth training camp, so he's a little bit delayed, and goaltenders, sometimes they're affected by that. So we might not see him until like December in the NHL.
Yeah,
but again,
he's been off.
There's not a lot of risk to this, and I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, zero risk. He's just another lottery ticket for them. Maybe one of them cashes, whether it's Pickard, whether it's Skinner, whether it's Ingram. In that 2022 season, 54 games played in the AHL and a .915. So yeah, he had 3 straight really good years, 2022, 2023, 2024. You just got to hope that mentally he's there after going through something so tragic like his mother passing. We're all rooting for him. And if that's the case, considering they got $800,000 retained, so his cap hit doesn't matter when he's in the AHL, like, there's no risk to this. Edmonton was obviously like going to be one of the teams that were potentially in on him just because their goaltending has been so bad. But I'm sure there were other teams that also heavily considered going after Connor Ingram because, yeah, when this guy is there, he can be a solid 1B for a lot of teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, with the Oilers who had problems last year with goaltenders in the playoffs, I'm not saying Ingram is your solution. I wish. But again, I think that it's one of those things where, like, you gave up nothing. Like, there's not a lot of risk to it, and he has 1 year left. So if he doesn't work out, goodbye. He's gone.
Yeah.
Like, you're fine.
Yeah, why not if you're the Edmonton Oilers? And next up, and you got the money now with McDavid to re-sign him if he breaks out.
Exactly.
It's on a 6x6 in no time. Mikkola, maybe the funniest deal. 8 years, $5 million. Like, this is objectively like not that good of a deal. He's not going to be worth it the final like 3 to 4 years. But if you're Florida, your entire team, for the most part, besides Bobrovsky, Lundell, and Sam Miscavige, is like, in Marchand, is like between the ages of 27 to 31. You're just going for it. Like, absolutely screw it. All in. They're going to stink in the mid 2030s. It's going to be hilarious, but they might win 4 Stanley Cups in the meantime.
It's a good value deal, I would say. They have a lot, like, it'll be good for the first like 2 to 3 years, but like after that, it's gonna stink.
Yeah, it's fun. Honest. Just 8 years is just hilarious for Nico Mikkola. I guess the Rangers.
It is what it is. I mean, I guess you want to get the AAV down and stuff. That makes it like what, 10 of them that are signed after 2030?
It's insane. It's absolutely nutty.
Crazy.
Yeah. I was just shocked by it just because Ekblad only signed for 6.1. If you told me Mikkola was going to sign an 8-year deal, I probably would have guessed like 4 million, 4.25. Still a good deal. Still a good deal for their objective. You're going for it. But yeah, just really funny that they're bringing back literally everybody. And an amazing signing to begin with. The fact that they got him 3 years, 2.75, and nobody really had any expectations for that deal. The New York Rangers, don't want to slander the Devils. Rangers just let him walk after being involved in the Tarasenko deal. They could definitely have used him the last couple of years. But yeah, just Florida finding a way to stay good.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're actually going to talk about the Rangers a little bit. They sent down Gabe Perreault and Scott Morrow. Probably for the best. Sullivan is not at this point the best developmental coach. He just wants to win. And yeah, let Perreault play in the top 6, although Rangers fans thought that he was going to have a chance at the Calder. Scott Morrow is maybe a little bit more surprising just because he's dominated the AHL the last couple of years. If not now, when, especially on a pretty mediocre New York Rangers, not mediocre, kind of bad New York Rangers defense core. So yeah, Perreault, sure. Morrow, little concerning. What do you think?
I also think I'm a little Perrault. I'm not terribly surprised about because I've seen crazier ones. Crazier guys get cut that I was more surprised about. I think he needs some time in the AHL. Even last year, again, I know Laviolette was not playing him, but maybe he's just not ready. Simply being put, I'm not watching every Rangers preseason game, so I really can't speak of it. But I think he's a good player, and I think if they're sending him down, that means he's probably not ready. So give him time. I was shocked about Morrow though, because you think he'd be able to crack that blue line
and maybe be on the second power play, as well.
Yeah, that too. So it's that one was a little weird to me, but I guess they value veterans over youth.
Yeah,
kind of what they do.
Yeah, Penguins fans would tell me that he would not play the young guys that much. Towards he was just, I got to get every last ounce out of Crosby and Malkin. That makes sense there. We're going to go over some injuries. Zuccarello out around 6 to 8 weeks. I have the Wild safely in the playoffs. This definitely does not help that. He has been awesome the last 3 to 4 years for them at around 65-point pace. A lot of that is playing with Kaprizov. But yeah, that definitely makes me somewhat concerned. What's your thoughts on the Minnesota Wild? Do you have them as a playoff team? How safely, if so? Don't break my heart.
I don't have them as a playoff team.
No.
This is a hard one for me. And I was talking about this today. I have them 6, but they're going to be a hard out. They're going to be a hard out.
St. Louis head?
It's one of those ones where it's interchangeable between them and the Mammoth and the Kings and not even the Blues. I'm very high on the Blues.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that in your pod.
It's very difficult for me to do this. I'm going to be blunt with you. And they can make the playoffs. They absolutely could. It's one of those things where it's interchangeable. I had the Wild in the playoffs last week. I don't have them in the playoffs this week. It could be one of those where it bites me in the ass, but I look at the Mammoth. I think they're due. Minnesota, I'm worried about Kaprizov. If he goes down, this whole team goes down essentially. If that happens, then
yeah,
I don't really.
I will say my thing with Minnesota is just he did go down last year for 41 games, and they still found a way to make the playoffs despite a St. Louis Blues 12-game win streak, despite Calgary getting to the Blues made the playoffs too, but Calgary getting to 96 points. I don't think that's going to happen again. But yeah, him and Ek barely played, and they made the playoffs. So if I could exchange Zuccarello only playing 40 games with Kaprizov, and Kaprizov can only miss 10, I think they're going to be a playoff team. A team in the Central that I am pretty worried about missing the playoffs due to some injuries. Samberg out 6 to 8 weeks. By now it's 5 to 7 weeks, and Perfetti being week to week. Perfetti, that scares me a decent amount because he was pretty clearly their 4th best forward heading into the season, and a guy that I thought maybe could break out. There hasn't been exact clarification on how long he's going to be out, but in a forward core that already was relying on Gustav Nyquist and Nino Niederreiter to play a sizable role in their middle 6 wings. This one really scares me. Sandberg's obviously really broke out last year, and his defensive presence is going to be missed sorely. But what's your concern level for the Winnipeg Jets in terms of making the playoffs?
The Jets, I'm not terribly worried about. I think they still have a very good team. They still have Connor Hellebuck. I think as long as they have Hellebuck,
the floor is pretty high with Connor Hellebuck. It's a pretty shallow team. Samberg missing at least 20 games. It's scary, man. And Neil Pionk without Samberg, I'm not going to hate on the Neil Pionk extension that much, but and part of the reason why he got that extension was because Samberg's able to be such a rock defensively. And when you plug in, I don't know who they have right now instead. It's a big loss. They got him with Hayden Fleury right now. Does that change your mind? Hayden Fleury second pair.
I still think they'll make it.
Yeah, that's fair. Hellebuck. I thought Hellebuck, like, they should only play him like 50, 55 games next year so he can be fresh for the playoffs. But with some of these injuries, he's probably going to be gearing up for another 63 game season.
Who knows at this point? We'll have to see what happens. I mean, again, I think Comrie is very good, and is better than people might think, but Hellebuck's Hellebuck, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Scott Laughton out week to week. We don't really have to talk too much about that.
It is a little bit. I mean, they did pick up Sammy Blais today, who should fill that role, but it does leave a hole on their center core, and it really does. It did actually kind of open the door for Easton Cowan, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Nah, he got sent down. And then Anze Kopitar retiring. Legend of the game. I feel like there's like the most respected guy, arguably, of his generation, besides Patrice Bergeron. We said on the podcast like 2 to 3 weeks ago that we were not expecting Anze Kopitar to do like a retirement tour. Like me and Babby were like, he won't be like Marc-Andre Fleury and announce his retirement. And then literally, like, as soon as we posted, that happened. So that's our bad on that one. He is soaking in his retirement tour. I don't think Ovechkin's going to do that. I could see, because he had to deal with like the goal record and all that. I think Ovechkin, when he retires, watch him like announce his final season like tomorrow now. But like, I think he's the guy that's going to be like, I'm out.
Well, on the bright side, he can't sign a PTO next year. On the bright side, he can't do that. So I'm not dissing Fleury, but
I'm dissing Fleury. That is corny.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm a nice guy, so I won't disrespect Fleury. But yeah, I mean, Kopitar, a legend, and it feels. And I know you're older than me, and you probably feel it more than I do, but it does feel weird. Like my childhood players were like retiring, and it just
for me, like really getting into hockey around the age of like 10 to 12 or something like that. Like them winning the Stanley Cup in 2012, him beating the New York Rangers became my hero in 2014. But that's why I love him so much. Shout out Alec Martinez too. All right, we're gonna just go through your awards picks. I'm assuming if you listen to the podcast, you probably watched my video on my awards picks and just see where we maybe agree and disagree. Who you got winning the Calder, or not winning the Calder? Who's your top three? I assume you have Demidov.
Top three?
Yeah, because I assume you have Demidov.
I do have my top three. I only did my top two. I did one and runner up. All right, so number three, I got Zane Parekh, Calgary.
I'm a little bit nervous about Rasmus Anderson still being there. Uyghur. The opportunity. The talent is there. I love, like, I didn't have him in my top five. People act like I hate him. He's like my number 3 or 4 prospect in the NHL. No, 4 prospect in the NHL. I just think this year, Calgary offensively, probably not going to have the goods. He might be on the second power play. Just a little bit concerned. Love the player.
Number 2, I have Misa. Misa's a little bit of an interesting one there. I think he's going to shock some people. And then number 1, I'm going to be boring. It's Demidov.
Yeah, it is. It's boring, but he's plus 200 for a reason, man. The only thing that can really hold him back is that second line. Yeah, like that second line. Like I think today it was, who was the center? Let me pull it up on Daily Faceoff. It was Newhook and someone. Newhook and Kapanen, Oliver Kapanen. Which Oliver Kapanen could be a very good player. I think he like dominated, what was it, Liga or the SHL last year. But yeah, that's maybe the one thing holding him back. But he's going to be on the top power play. He has a floor probably, as ridiculous as to say, probably like 55. Also be on
that line too.
Yeah, so like the lack of a second line center could hurt him, but besides that, he's probably going to be there. Yeah, mine is Demidov, Renzel, just because I think he's going to play so fucking much. And who's my third? Snuggerud. So I had one of your St. Louis Blues, one of your favorite teams. Who you got for the Vezina?
Vezina, I actually, and this kind of concurs with my standings predictions, I have Jake Ottinger.
Ooh, winning it. Yeah.
I think he finally picked one up.
He's had what was his best season? He had a 919 one year in like 60 games. So he's already had like a Vezina finalist level season. And yeah, Dallas is going to be fucking good.
They are.
Who you got as the runner up?
Vasilevsky, actually. And then Helly is third.
That's fair. Yeah, I had Shesterkin in first because I think he's going to carry the New York Rangers. In the second spot, I had Hellebuck just because he's going to be damn good as always. I got Linus Ullmark kind of as an underdog guy. I think the Senators are going to be a safe playoff team.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good pick.
What about the Norris?
Norris, I'm boring. Makar, I got one. And then I have Quinn Hughes. But I actually, at number 3, I have Jake Sanderson.
Oh, I have him fifth. Let's go. Jake Sanderson appreciators.
I'm not even the highest one. LeBlanc, who's on one of my podcasts, has him number one.
Well, yeah, he's
So
also
not
a
even.
Senators fan.
Yeah, I think Sanderson had a really good year last year, and I'm expecting for Ottawa to be good. So
Yeah, he just
there you go.
continues to improve and just his role goes up. I think he's went up like a minute 30 every single season. So I could definitely see that. Mine's Fox, and then it gets pretty basic with Quinn or Chemicar, then Quinn Hughes. And then lastly, for your Hart Trophy.
Hart. I got Kucherov taking that one home.
Ain't gonna give it to a
David at
Russian.
number 2. McDavid at 2. I got McKinnon at 3. So
Okay.
kind of just a boring. Some of my boring picks. I didn't really go off the board that much. Like I didn't pick Ovechkin for the Rocket, like I said in my
Yeah, I remember that. It was the ultimate bold pick. Yeah, mine's the same except Matthews in for Kucherov. Kucherov was
Okay.
like fifth on mine.
Okay.
I think Matthews is going to carry that team. And then lastly, Stanley Cup final pick. We'll say it on 3. 3, 2, 1. I did drop my video earlier today on that, but 3, 2, 1. Dallas over Tampa.
Hurricanes. I got Dallas over
Oh,
Canes.
okay. We're in agreement. Yeah. Dallas got to get a fucking right-handed defenseman. Like that's really just what it comes down to, in my opinion.
Yep. They need a right-handed defenseman. I don't have them winning the overall league. I have them winning the Central. I got Vegas winning the whole league, but I think Carolina's due, honestly. And I think this is their chance with Florida not being Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And Tampa, I'm just worried for because they don't have that great of depth.
The defense court depth is a little bit shaky. It's Hedman, it's McDonough, then it's like Chernak, Mosier. Yeah, it's. I'll be honest, it's not that good. That
depth on the forward core has been better than what it's been in the last few years. Like I like Holmberg, I like Peltier, the guys they brought in, but again, like the defensive core is not the greatest it could be. I think they need an upgrade there.
I could see Rasmus Anderson for a year. I don't know what picks they have. I don't know what fucking picks they have at this point.
Oh, what? I didn't even think about
their
that.
right side is Mosier.
I'm gonna make a video on that.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me.
That was my off-season hot take, but it might make more sense at a deadline move.
Do they have the cap though to do that?
I guess if I don't know what's their cap at right now. Maybe they can accrue enough.
Minus 455.
Oh no.
Are they gonna put somebody on LTIR? I mean, it depends, honestly. So we'll see. That's a good pick, though. I didn't think about Anderson. Okay.
Yeah, the right-handed defense is just such a need for them. Who could they potentially trade? Is there anybody? Nah, everybody's on like a good deal. Pontus Holmberg makes 1.55. I guess they could just package Mosier. He's 25. He's younger. Calgary maybe wants him. He makes 3.38. JBB will find a way, man. He'll find a way. Ever since the Janot trade, he's locked back in. That was his one fuck up, generational fuck up. We're both high on Dallas. Yeah, Carolina, they just can't beat Russian goaltenders. And also, like, second line center, I think that's easier said than done, getting that second line center mid-season.
Definitely. Yeah, I think, again, like, Carolina doesn't – I don't think they have a lot of cap room to begin with. I'm looking at their cap space here.
Carolina, I think they do.
It's $10 million.
What? Yeah, they couldn't. That's why I was like, what are you doing? Do something.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I read it the wrong way. I think Carolina has the money to do so. It's just like you asked the question, who?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, who is selling like that heavily? I guess maybe if the Predators suck again, Ryan O'Reilly, like is he a second line center on a legit contender at this point? I'm looking at the pending UFAs right now.
Yeah,
I don't think Malkin's going there. I don't think he's retiring as a Carolina Hurricane.
No, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that at all.
And yeah, there's just Christian Dvorak after a hot start for your Philadelphia Flyers.
Dvorak, like, again, I think Dvorak, people underlook him a little bit. He wouldn't be that crazy.
The contract was just too much. Like, it was funny. What was it, $5.4
It's a 1 year
million?
deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he's on like the Cody Cece contract.
Yeah,
like,
true.
I'm saying it was the worst deal. I'm like, it's a 1 year contract. Like, yeah, it's a little overpaid, but it's anyway. We're getting off topic.
Yeah. But yeah, Dallas Stars, put your life savings in on them winning the Stanley Cup this season. You heard it first from me and Nord. That's the podcast. Went for about an hour. Greatly appreciate it, Nord. Plug all your stuff away. Plug away.
Yeah, we got Nordic 97 on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, and all that stuff. We also have watch of Nordic live stream starting up this week with the regular season coming underway, the Nordcast and MVP. We got a ton of stuff going on. It's a lot of fun. So, yeah, thank you for letting me come on. This is a lot shorter than I thought. We had so much to talk about, and we got it such in a short amount of time. The MVP took like 2.5 hours, but that involved a 15-minute rant about the Phillies. So.
we went hard. Yeah. Still, great.
Thank you, Bart.
Great episode. Everybody go follow Nordic. He's the absolute man. He's a day one. He's been supporting from the beginning. And yeah, one of my favorite content creators. We'll be seeing the next one. Hockey is finally back. Peace.